the fourth episode of the Childfree Goddess Podcast, a podcast made for and by a child-free woman to empower you in your child-free choice wherever you are in your journey. My name is Wilmarie Hernandez. I'm a transformational life coach for child-free women, creator of the Instagram community Life Without Kids, the Kid-Free Blueprint, the Child-Free Women's Circle community in Discord, and the Child-Free Sisterhood Group program. Before we start, I would like to invite you to take a couple of deep breaths, relax, maybe grab your favorite drink, and chill with me. I want this time we spend together to add good energy to your day. So last weekend, many people celebrated Valentine's Day. And the truth is that even if you don't care for it, because it is a commercialized holiday, there is a collective energy of love and romance in the air. So in today's episode, I want to share with you my child-free love story. To me, celebrating child-free love stories, including mine, is so important because I grew up thinking that this wasn't possible. Growing up, I always said I didn't want to have kids or get married when I grew up. Now, don't get me wrong, like many of you, I grew up watching Disney movies and romantic movies. Deep down, I wanted love. I was and still am a romantic soul. I've been writing poetry since I can remember, and I grew up with a very romantic dad who would dedicate poems to my mom and his daughters. So I definitely dreamed of finding my soulmate. But I was aware of what that meant in real life. I grew up seeing women disappear into marriage, being cheated on, abused, undervalued. And most importantly, I thought marriage had to equal having children. After all, that was the point of marriage. And I wasn't willing to do that. So I would say that I wouldn't never get married or have kids. But as I grew up and dove deeper into self-healing and self-awareness, I understood that I could manifest whatever relationship I wanted, that I can make my own rules, and I could break the generational patterns I didn't want to repeat. Now, being raised by a romantic, feminist, and emotionally connected father made it even harder for me because my standards were so high. I remember my family always making comments about how quick I was to dismiss guys or how hard it would be for me to find a guy because my list of requirements was too long. I didn't care. I wasn't willing to settle for anything less. I remember when I was a teenager making a list of the characteristics and qualities I wanted in a soulmate. I was very specific and intentional about it. My dating history actually started at 13. I always dated someone, and through those experiences, I learned so much about myself and about men. I learned how my idea of what was attractive in a man was initially shaped by society standards and not by what I truly cared about. For example, fast forward to my early 20s while I was living in Washington, D.C. as a young professional, I thought I wanted a man who was very masculine. And to me, part of what that meant was for him to be into sports. That was until I dated this guy who was very clear about how Sundays were strictly reserved for watching sports. I realized that actually wasn't that attractive to me, and also that I didn't care about sports that much. So all of these dating experiences helped me to truly understand what I valued in a partner. Now, being a confident, child-free woman was also a challenge while dating in my 20s. I truly thought that my child-free choice would give me an advantage because I thought men didn't really want to have kids. I thought they didn't want the responsibility and that they rather had fun But I was so wrong. Turns out that the vast majority of men actually wanted to have kids in the future. So whenever I would share my choice of remaining child-free, the tone of the relationship would change. All of a sudden, I wasn't long-term or marriage material. It was very disheartening to realize this, but that was a change I wasn't willing to make. After years of dating, I accepted that I might stay single forever, and I was 100% okay with that. I could picture my life being successful, traveling the world, and building a healthy social life as a single woman. I made that conscious choice in 2013, right after graduating from my master's. I even started planning some solo trips and some trips with my girlfriends. I was so excited about putting the idea of a long-term romantic relationship on the back burner and hitting pause on dating new people. By this time, I had been using dating apps for years, and I love them. I truly have fun dating and meeting new people. Being in Washington, D.C. as a young professional woman was so exciting because of the cultural and racial diversity the city offered. I literally tasted the rainbow. And yes, it was delicious. But in 2013, after graduating, I decided to, for the first time, delete the dating apps and take a year to focus on myself, traveling, and deepening my relationships with my girlfriends. But right before deleting the app, I decided to give it one last chance. At that time, I was mainly using a free app called OkCupid. This app had a lot of filters you could use when searching. The filters were very specific. They would go from location, age, height, education level, religion, all the way to the zodiac sign. But I remember I would usually use only a couple of filters that I considered the most important ones, since I didn't really want to narrow my possibilities that much. But this time, as I was getting ready to delete the app, I decided to, for the first time, use every single filter. Income level, smoking preferences, whether they wanted to have kids or not, and even the zodiac sign. I remember selecting Taurus because I had read somewhere that it was a compatible sign for me, but I had never dated any Taurus that I knew of. When I was done with that long list of filters, I hit search and Ryan's profile came up. As usual, the first thing I noticed was his photo, and I was surprised by how much I liked it. I clicked to read his profile, and I remember this feeling of, is this real? Everything he wrote and the way he wrote it was exactly made for me. I sent him a message and the rest is history, really. We talked on the phone for like a week before we met in person. And our first date was at a sushi restaurant where we talked for 4 hours nonstop and finished a whole bottle of wine. 3 years later, we moved in together. 2 years after that, he proposed at the top of Machu Picchu in Peru. And 4 years later, we got married at a child-free wedding by the ocean and surrounded by so much love. Before getting married, we had decided to make our child-free choice permanent by getting a vasectomy. We also realized that our child-free choice meant that we didn't have to live the life most people live. We didn't have to save so much money for somebody else's college. So we decided to sell everything we owned and go travel the world. That was 4 years ago, and we are still traveling. While I love my child-free love story and the beautiful relationship we have built together, what I love the most about it is that it truly is about two people who decided to know themselves first, to trust themselves, to be honest, and to believe that love and marriage can look different than what they've seen. We decided to make our own rules and prioritize our individual happiness above all. We choose to be together not because we have to or because we have children, but because we love each other. We make each other better, and we share the same morals and values. Together, we create a new reality and a new possibility our ancestors could only dream of. Most importantly, we know that if we ever decide to take different paths, we will be fine. We'll still love and respect each other, and we will be happy because our individual happiness is not dependent on each other. Happiness is something we cultivate individually and cherish together. This is the love that I dreamed of, a love that is real, mature, honest, and also so magical and romantic. A love that feels like home and still tastes like adventure. A love that is free from obligations and societal expectations. A child-free love. Sometimes I wonder how many women in my lineage dreamed of this but didn't get it. After all the women in my maternal lineage, as far back as I know, were divorced. So I'll celebrate this love every chance I get. For them, for myself, and for all the women who, like my younger self, still wonder if it is possible. As always, it has been a pleasure spending this time with you today and sharing my story. Remember to sign up for the free virtual Child-Free Woman Circle in Discord, and to learn more about my offerings, visit www.childfreegoddess.com. Now let's take a deep breath as we say goodbye. And I hope you take some time this week to celebrate love in all its forms. And remember, before going to bed, write yourself a love note, listing one thing you did today you want to thank yourself for, and one thing you want to forgive yourself for. Remember that sisterhood starts within, and you deserve to receive the love you so selflessly give to everything around you. Until next time, Goddess.